Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hoge, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
Hi, I'm AJ Hoge, the author of Effortless English. Learn to speak English like a native. Speak English powerfully. Speak English fluently. Speak English effortlessly. Join my VIP program, Think in English. Join and commit to my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com. effortlessenglishclub.com. Go there now, effortlessenglishclub.com. Speaking of VIP members, we are working on the website now. You probably noticed. I know there is some confusion. VIP members are confused. What's going on with the lessons? We are changing to a new system right now. The newest lesson is Good Fight. The newest lesson is Good Fight. Now, I know some of you are confused because you're like, what's going on with the bonus lesson and the current lesson? Well, let me tell you what the new system will be. We're changing it, and that's why there's some problems right now. There's some confusion with the links. Right? Normally, with the old system, you log in, and you will see a menu with 3 choices in the VIP area. Choice number 1 says Welcome. Choice number 2, Current Lesson. And choice number 3, Bonus Lesson. The welcome is just for new people, right? It's new members. New members, you click on welcome, and there's information there about how to use the VIP program, how to use the lessons, how to download them. But after you join and you understand, you don't need the welcome area anymore. Not necessary. Only for new members. With our old system, you had the current lesson and the bonus lesson, and you got one of each per month, right? You got a current lesson set every 30 days, about once a month, and you got a new bonus lesson set, again, about once a month. And they would alternate, right? So you would get the new current lesson, and then about 15 days later, you get the new bonus lesson, and then 15 days later, new current lesson. They would alternate like that. That's the old system. The new system, we're just making it simpler. Nothing's changing. You'll get the same number of lessons every month still. You'll still get 2 full sets every month. You still get new lessons every 15 days. That does not change. We're just making the menu more simple. We are going to eliminate the bonus lesson choice from the menu. That's all. So with the new system, you will see just welcome for new members, and then you'll see current lesson, and the current lesson will always be the newest lesson for you. That's all. And the current lesson, it will change every 15 days. Instead of every 30 days, it will change every 15 days. You get a new current lesson. So that's it. It's just very simple. You just have one choice. You go, you see current lesson, click. That's your newest lesson right now. Very simple and easy. That new current lesson will change. Again, every 15 days, you'll get a new current lesson. Simple, simple, simple. I like simplicity. That's all. One other thing we're changing, it's to make things easier for you, more clear, more simple. Maybe you say, AJ, what if I miss a lesson? What if I get busy? What if I forget to log in for 15 days? And the newest lesson disappears. Oh no, did I lose it forever? No, you do not. You don't lose any lessons. We're adding a new link You'll see it'll be at the bottom of the page. It's an archive link, archive, 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 or you could call it maybe a history link. It'll just be your old lessons. So anytime you want to get your past lessons, any lessons from your past, as long as you were a member, you will just click that link, and then you'll see a big list. You'll see a list of all of the lessons you have gotten already. So if you forget to download an old one, no problem. If you lose one, maybe you get a new computer or you get a new phone and you lose some of your files, your old lesson files. You say, oh no, it's gone now. No, just go back, just download it again. Go back to that old lesson archive or old lesson history link, and you can get any of your old lessons anytime you want. They will always be there for you. Now, this is something I know members have asked for a long time. We're finally doing that. So that's the good news. Really not much is changing. It will look very similar. The lesson area for VIP members, it'll look basically the same as it is now. Just the current lesson choice link in the menu will disappear. But don't worry, you're not losing anything. It's just that now all lessons will appear as current lessons, right? So there'll just be one there all the time. You go in, that's my current lesson, download it and listen to it. 15 days later, you go, the current lesson is different now. It changed. Now it's your newest lesson. It's still your current lesson, right? That's the meaning of current. It means right now. That's your lesson for right now, and it will change every 15 days. Simple, 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 simple. Now, I apologize because, as usual, whenever we change the computer system, the website system, there are little problems and confusion, and that's happening right now because right now maybe you still see the bonus lesson and you're not sure which one is the newest one, and it's a little confusing as the computer guys are changing the system. I apologize. We just need a few more days, and the new, more simple lesson area will be ready. But don't worry, right now, the newest lesson is Good Fight, but a new one will appear probably tomorrow. Tomorrow we will add, right? It's time for you to get a new one, so tomorrow you'll get a new one, tomorrow or the next day. The new one, the name will be Anger, and it should appear as the current lesson. It will appear as the new current lesson. And again, the bonus lesson will disappear. Don't get worried about that. That choice will disappear, but you'll get a new current lesson about every 2 weeks. No problem. I will send an email. To all VIP members, and just to explain all of this. I will explain the new system. But basically the new system, it's the same number of lessons. Everything's the same. Just simpler. Simpler. Simple is good. Simple is easy. Speaking of simple, I just got back from my vacation. Very simple. Didn't do anything complicated. Just went hiking in the mountains in Japan. So wonderful. Oh man, it was great. I feel fantastic after getting back. We just had a great time. Just went hiking in the mountains. Beautiful. It's December, but it's unusually warm here. So it still feels like fall, for sure. Today, I can wear just short sleeve shirts, like a t-shirt today. It feels like almost like spring here today. It's very unusual. And when we were walking in the mountains, the colors were amazing because the colors on the trees, right, the leaves are changing now. So there are all these trees around with bright yellow, golden yellow leaves, or orange and red. Just these amazingly beautiful colors. So nice. Now, most of the trees where we were hiking, most of them were, they're called evergreens. Evergreen means always green. So there's like pine trees. Those are evergreen, right? Like the Christmas trees you always see in movies. That's an evergreen. It's like they're always green. The area where we were hiking, they were mostly cedar trees. C-E-D-A-R, cedar. Cedar trees have a kind of, the color of the wood is reddish, kind of red-brown. It has a really nice smell, cedar trees do. So most of the forest was cedar trees, those evergreen trees, always green. But then in all these little spots, all in different spots in the forest, there would be other trees with the leaves changing colors, gold or, yellowish gold, red, orange. So amazing. Some of them were maples, and there were ginkgo trees down there was rivers near the edge of the rivers. Just beautiful, amazing. That fresh mountain air. And the weather was fantastic. It was so warm. In fact, I got hot when we were hiking. I was hot. I was just in a t-shirt, only a t-shirt while we were walking, and I was sweating. Of course, we were going up and down mountains, so that's one reason I was sweating, carrying a heavy backpack. But still, it was very warm, very, very warm for December. Amazing. And sunny, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we also, during this hike, we visited several very old shrines, Shinto shrines. Shinto, it's kind of a nature, the very, very old nature religion of Japan. And these are some of the oldest Shinto shrines in Japanese history. The history of these shrines and the area goes back thousands of years. Then, in the evenings, we would arrive at the hot springs spas. The Japanese word is onsen or onsens, more than one, right? So we would visit these onsens. These are natural hot springs, so it's hot water coming up from the earth naturally. And the water is full of minerals. And several of the onsens, the water was almost like a milky color, almost like milk white, because of all the minerals in the water. So we'd be walking, we'd walk all day, we're carrying these heavy backpacks, we're going up and down big hills and mountains, small mountains. And our legs would be tired from doing that. We're not used to going up and down big hills. In Osaka, where we live, is very flat. So our legs would be tired, maybe a little sore, but then we'd go to the onsen. We'd go to the hot spring spa, and of course there were little hotels, and that's part of the spa. And we'd get in that hot water before dinner and just sit in the water and kind of, our bodies would suck up the minerals from the water. It felt so good. Of course, just the warm water felt fantastic also. And many people believe that the onsens can heal your body, right? If you have an injury, if you're just tired, even if you're maybe sick, that if you sit in the onsens a lot, your body absorbs the minerals, which is very good. It's very healthy for your body. And I think so. I think it definitely helped us recover from walking quickly, because we would sit in the onsen, the hot spring, before dinner. Then we'd eat dinner, then go back and sit more in the onsens, maybe even a third time before bed. And the next day, we'd wake up and we'd feel good. It was amazing. We weren't sore anymore. We felt fresh and ready to hike more. I talked about earlier onsens, and we did visit some beautiful ones. My favorite one was the last one we visited. It was at the seashore, right next to the ocean, and it was in a cave, a sea cave. So a cave that goes out into the ocean, and there's an onsen, a hot springs that comes up inside the cave, and then they built these pools where you can sit in the pools with the hot water, and then very close, there are rocks, and then the waves from the ocean are hitting the rocks. You sit there, watch the waves hit the rocks, and there were these seabirds flying around, and that was amazing. You're kind of in this cave. Beautiful. Just fantastic. So, I feel good. I'm back. Feeling great. Hope you're doing well. And I was thinking about, I think I saw an English idiom. I don't remember where, at least online somewhere probably. I was just reading when we were on the train coming back home to the city. And I saw the phrase, the very common phrase in English, enjoy the finer things in life. Enjoy the finer things in life. Sometimes you'll see this idiom or this phrase in advertisements, usually for expensive things. Enjoy the finer things in life, maybe for an expensive wine or an expensive whiskey or something like that. Enjoy the finer things in life. You'll hear this in movies or TV shows sometimes. I like to enjoy the finer things in life. Now, the common meaning of this, it has kind of the idea of enjoying expensive things. It often is used in a way to give the idea of that you or someone likes to enjoy expensive things, like you have expensive taste. Right, you like high quality things. So it has sometimes the idea of money, sometimes the idea of luxury. Enjoy the finer things in life. Let's talk about this word, fine, because fine has some different meanings, or at least some different variations of meaning. The most basic meaning of fine just means good, basically good. Like you say, I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. It means, I'm good. I feel good, right? Well. It means well or good, that idea. Fine. That's the basic meaning of fine. But then the second meaning of fine is what I just talked about. And that's the idea of high quality, expensive. So, for example, we talk about fine wine. Fine wine. Fine wine means very high quality wine, which is usually expensive. We can talk about this with restaurants. Fine dining. You'll see this phrase a lot. Fine dining. Fine dining. This restaurant, this is a fine dining restaurant. Again, it means very high quality food and service. Right? It's not fast food. It's the opposite of that. And of course, usually those restaurants are expensive. For example, the very famous, Michelin books, right? Those are those French books that they do the rating. They review restaurants around the world. Well, they review fine dining restaurants. They don't review McDonald's, right? They're not reviewing fast food. They're reviewing, the highest quality restaurants. They focus on fine dining. Fine dining. So here, fine has the idea of very high quality. Now there is another meaning or use of the word fine. And the third meaning is, for example, in the phrase fine print. Fine print. Read the fine print. That's another idiom, a common idiom in English. Read the fine print. Be careful, read the fine print. Now here, this third meaning, fine means small. Small or detailed or subtle, S-U-B-T-L-E. Fine, small, detailed, subtle. So fine print is very, very small print, right? It's writing that is super, super, super small. Tiny. For example, in a contract, like a business contract, at the bottom of the contract or the end of the contract, sometimes there will be tiny, 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 tiny writing. That's the fine print. And that's why in English we have this idiom, read the fine print. It means read the tiny details, because sometimes, like if the lawyer is bad, he'll put information in there that is not good for you, and he'll write it very, very small. Oh, I got a baby here. Let me take a break. I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm back. Had a little baby visit me. Had to play with the baby. See if I remember. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, fine print. Fine print. Read the fine print. So when you read a contract, or sometimes in advertisements, even like on a print advertisement, especially for medications, right? There'll be fine print, meaning very small printed, letters, words, printing at the bottom. And that's where they put all the little details about the contract or about the advertisement. And so when we use that idiom, read the fine print, it means be careful about the details. Be careful about the small details, because sometimes in contracts, like I was saying, if the writer of the contract, the lawyer, is bad, like they're trying to cheat you, then they might put bad stuff in the fine print, right? The rules or the way they're trying to cheat you, they'll put it in the very small print because they hope you will not read it because it's so small. So again, though, this is the third meaning of the word fine, and that means small and detailed, such as fine print. And I'd like to talk about that meaning, that use of the word fine today. Small, detailed. Could also mean subtle, S-U-B-T-L-E, subtle. Subtle means not obvious. Not obvious. The opposite of fine, this meaning of fine, is the word gross, G-R-O-S-S, gross. Now, gross also has more than one meaning. The most common meaning of gross, the way it's used most often, used a lot by children, in fact, in the United States, means disgusting. That's gross. Bleh. So, for example, if you eat some food that you really don't like, right, it tastes terrible, you might say, this is gross. Right, this food is gross. Tastes horrible. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It means disgusting. So that's one meaning, but that's not the one I'm talking about right now. Another meaning, though, is the opposite of fine. Remember, fine, today we're talking about fine meaning small and detailed, subtle. Gross is kind of the opposite of that. Gross means large and uncomplicated. Not complicated, uncomplicated. I can explain these two meanings of these words in the easiest way if we look at sports, because we'll use these words gross and fine. We'll use them to describe movements, like body movements. So for example, with children even, we'll talk about fine motor skills and gross motor skills. A motor skill is basically a movement skill, the ability to move your body, to do something with your body. Maybe your hands, maybe your whole body. This is also used in sports, gross versus fine. I'll give you a sports example. An example of a sport that uses fine motor skills, fine movements, is golf. Golf is mostly a game of very fine motor skills, meaning very small, detailed, very carefully controlled movements. Of course, you have the main big swing. That's a large movement. You might say that's a gross movement. It's a large movement. But in golf, to be good at golf, you have to control your body, especially your hands and your arms and even your legs and your hips, in very, very detailed, careful, small ways. So, for example, in golf, you grab the club, right? That you're swinging. Just if you change the way you grab it, if you just change your fingers a few centimeters, just change your position of your hands a few centimeters, it can completely change how you hit the ball. The ball will go in a very different direction just because you moved your fingers a few centimeters in a different way. And the same with the swing. If your swing is changed just a few centimeters one way or the other way, then your shot will go, can change in a very large way. So small changes of your body in golf can create very large changes in the game, in the shot that you take. So it's very fine motor skills, very small, fine. That's what makes golf difficult. Just swinging is a pretty easy skill, the basic swinging of the club, the big movement, that's easy, but it's all the small little skills and movements of your fingers and your wrist and your arms and even how you stand, just changing your foot position a few centimeters can make a big difference. So golf is mostly a game of very fine, right? Small, detailed, subtle movements or movement changes. Now the opposite of that, an example of a sport that mostly uses big, gross motor movements or physical movements would be boxing. Right? Boxing, those are large, big movements. Okay, you have a jab. It's just you're just straightening your front arm. Basically, it's a very big movement. It doesn't matter how you move your fingers. Of course, at the very highest level of professional boxing, of course, it becomes a little more complicated. But the general movements of boxing are gross. They're not fine, right? They're a big hook, what's called a cross. That's when you're using your backhand. These are large, gross, big movements. So it's gross versus fine. Another meaning of the word fine. Why am I talking about this? Well, because I want to change your mindset about this phrase, enjoy the finer things in life. Because I've learned to change my mindset about it. If by just changing which definition, which meaning of the word fine we think about, we will totally change the meaning of this phrase, this idiom. Because remember, again, one meaning of fine is expensive and super high quality, right? This idea of it very expensive. Fine wine, right? Enjoy fine things. But what if you thought instead of that last meaning, small, detailed, subtle, enjoy the finer things in life, meaning enjoy the smaller things in life. Enjoy the smaller details in life. Enjoy the subtle, S-U-B-T-L-E. Enjoy the subtle things in life. it changes, right? It changes quite powerfully the meaning of that phrase, I think in a very positive way. So then, enjoying the finer things in life really is about having a mindset, an attitude, a mindset of mindfulness. Mindfulness. I've talked about this word before. Mindfulness just means awareness, means right now. You're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about the future. You're not distracted. It's really the opposite of distracted. Mindfulness means aware, carefully aware, mindful. So enjoying the finer things of life, it's not about money. It's not about that at all. It's not about having a lot of money. It's not about buying super expensive things all the time. Instead, enjoying the finer things in life is about noticing, being aware and noticing what? The subtleties, right? The small things in life. The small what? The small beauties, especially the small beauties, the small details, the small pleasures. I've talked about this in a recent podcast, right? Small pleasures, small beauties, subtleties. This phrase, when you talk about someone who enjoys the finer things in life, when I hear that phrase, I always think about that guy, that advertisement. I'm not sure if you had it. In America, we had this commercial for Dos Equis beer. Dos Equis, 2 X's, means in Spanish, 2X. Dos Equis. And they had this very famous advertising campaign. Right? It was called The Most Interesting Man in the World. It was kind of funny. It was quite funny, actually. The most interesting man. He's the most interesting man in the world. And the character in the ad, he was this guy with a beard, kind of older guy, looked like he was about 60, 65. Clearly, he had a lot of money. But he was kind of a good example of the phrase, enjoy the finer things in life. He was always, like smoking a really nice cigar and wearing very nice clothing, right? And always doing super interesting and amazing things. He was always enjoying the finer things in life. But as I think about that, I realize, a lot of people think to enjoy that kind of life, a life of great quality, very, enjoying all the little things in life, it actually doesn't require much money. We think it requires a huge amount of money, but in fact it does not, because most of the great subtleties, details, beauty are not so expensive. We can afford them. We don't need to be super rich. And quality, even when we talk about just things, it's not always necessary to spend tons of money to get quality. In many areas of life, you can get very good quality, maybe not the best, maybe not the top, but often you can get very good quality for not a lot of money. For example, whiskey. I mentioned whiskey before. It's possible to get very nice quality whiskey at a reasonable price. Not cheap, but you don't have to be rich. Of course, there are kinds of whiskeys that are very, very, very expensive, but it's not necessary. You can get a very nice whiskey that you can enjoy very much for a reasonable amount of money. Or coffee. There's another example, even cheaper example. Lots of different things that you can do and enjoy the finer things in life. And in fact, another thing I've noticed, it's kind of a joke between my wife and I, actually. Whenever we visit cities, I always love to walk around. And in every city in the world, it seems, there's always an area of the city where they have luxury brands. So like Gucci and Louis Vuitton and, there's always the same ones, every single city, everywhere in the world. And what I find so funny, what's so interesting to me, I know that everything in the store is super, super, super expensive. Like really, really expensive. But in the display windows of these stores, I'd say 99%, to me, 99% of the things in the windows are incredibly ugly. Like super ugly. The opposite of fine. Okay? Ugly. Super, super ugly. And so I don't know. I don't know why. People obviously buy that stuff, and I guess people wear the clothes, although I've never seen anyone actually wear any of those clothes but on the street, but they must go to parties or something and wear those super ugly clothes. And it's got to be rich people buying that stuff. But it shows you that, enjoying the finer things in life, it's not about just having lots of money. Because maybe those people who are buying that stuff have lots and lots of money, but they clearly are not aware, they're not mindful, because they're buying stuff that is super ugly. And I think probably the reason is it's because they're not focused on mindfulness. They're not focused on appreciation. They're not focused on subtlety. They're not focused on beauty. They're not focused on simple, beautiful details. They're not focused on, quality, that kind of artisan quality I mentioned recently. The love and care that goes into making something. That stuff in those stores, it's not made by, artisans. Okay, it's made in factories. But I think maybe the reason why they may have money, but I think they're not really enjoying the finer things in life. I think this is only my guess. I don't know, but I'm guessing that maybe they're just buying that stuff to show that they're rich, right? There's a lot of stuff that very rich people buy. A lot of stuff that's marketed to, that's sold to rich people. And really, it's ugly stuff. It's not very good stuff. This includes food. Mostly it's just being sold so it's kind of just showing everybody else, look at me, I'm rich. We call this a status symbol. A status symbol. Right? It's a symbol of your high status, right? It's a symbol of you being rich. It's not actually great quality. There's nothing actually great about it. The only thing great about it is just that it's super expensive. So if you have it, it means you're rich. There are certain kinds of cars that are like that. They're not necessarily the best cars. People who know a lot about cars and will tell you, well, that's not, it's not the fastest car. It's not the most beautiful car. It's not the best designed car, but it's just super expensive. It's just a status symbol. I find this about very expensive hotels. I've stayed in a few quite expensive hotels as part of seminars. I've been to a few. But what's interesting to me is that every time I've stayed in a very expensive hotel, and by very expensive, I mean, let's say over $300 a night. And of course, it's possible to spend much more than that. But I noticed that they're actually, the quality of the rooms and the service is actually worse than cheaper hotels. It's strange. I don't understand it. So I always think, why do people stay in these hotels? I never stay in those kind of hotels by choice because, the rooms are less nice. The service is worse. In cheaper hotels, I get free Wi-Fi, and the super expensive ones, they make you pay a huge amount of money to get Wi-Fi. I guess it's just a status symbol. I don't know, but it's another example of what I'm talking about. So what if, in other words, what if true wealth is not actually measured by money? Of course, we need money. I know we need money in our modern economy. But what if that's not the main part of wealth? You need some money. I know that. Unless you want to be a monk or a sadhu or something. Oh, whoops. Someone at my door. 1 second. Okay, so we need some money, of course, to be able to, get food, eat, and have a place to stay and all that. And to have, a decent amount of comfort. All those things, of course, yes, I understand. But what if, at a certain point, once you have enough, after that, to really be wealthy, to feel wealthy, Maybe it's not really about having more and more and more and more and more money, because there are a lot of people with a lot of money that are not happy, that have no appreciation, that in fact are not enjoying the finer things in life. They have a lot of things, but they don't enjoy any of them. So what if wealth is measured more in appreciation and mindfulness? Appreciating the fine things, meaning the small and detailed things in your life. Appreciating, noticing, just noticing and appreciating. I'll give you several examples of this. And I'll start with very physical examples, okay? Nothing emotional, really. Just really physical things, okay? Because often we think about that, things. But what if, through your day, and through your life, you just appreciated all the little things in your life. So, for example, I mentioned coffee. Of course, you can just go buy coffee and drink several cups a day and get the caffeine and the energy and really not even notice it. Just drinking it for that only. But what if instead you slowed down, and as you got that cup of coffee, you smelled it first? Noticed that wonderful smell of coffee, which I absolutely love. And what if you even felt the temperature in your hand as you held the cup or the glass? Maybe in summer it's an iced coffee and you just feel the coolness, the coldness. And other times of year, maybe it's just the warmth. Maybe it's even hot and you let it cool down, just noticing the smell. And then instead of just drinking it down really fast, what if you just took a little sip? And again, using your mindfulness, just paid attention. Just focus your attention on the taste and the smell. Just notice the taste. Maybe it tastes bitter. Maybe it's not good coffee. Maybe it's cheap coffee. And just notice like a burned, bitter taste. But still, at least you're noticing. You have this almost like a meditative, right? Like a mindset of meditation. Noticing the flavor. Really noticing it, even if you don't like it. But at least noticing, not just ignoring it and drinking it down really fast. And also, instead of pouring a huge amount of sugar into it, like a lot of people do, huge amount of sugar, you can't even taste the coffee. It's just basically coffee flavored sugar, right? But which is it's kind of a gross thing. A lot of fast food tastes good. I mean, sugar tastes good. You can just eat plain sugar. It tastes really good. But it's a gross taste, meaning it's not complicated, right? It's not subtle. It's not detailed. It's just one big, huge, super strong taste, right? Sweet. And it's more powerful than any other taste. If you add too much sugar, you won't notice any other taste. You only will taste sweet, 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 sweet. And that's why a lot of restaurants and food makers and Starbucks and lots they just add huge amounts of sugar to everything because, our brains and bodies like sweet, most of us. And it's just a gross, not meaning disgusting. I'm using the second meaning of the word gross, meaning it's just a large and uncomplicated and big, powerful taste. But there's no beauty, there's no detail, there's no subtlety, right? So that's not enjoying the finer things in life, right? Finer meaning detailed and subtle. The opposite of that, again, would be, some people might say coffee snobs, but coffee connoisseur. A connoisseur is someone who appreciates the fine things about one topic. So a coffee connoisseur would sip the coffee and smell the coffee and slowly drink it and would not add sugar to it, or maybe just a tiny bit. If they added sugar, it would be a small amount, so it's not too powerful. So they can still notice all of the other tastes in the coffee. And the same thing with milk. Instead of pouring a huge amount of milk or cream, they might put a little, just to add a little taste to it, but but not too much, so they could still taste all the fine, small, detailed tastes. And in good coffee, you might notice several tastes. There might be a little bit of bitterness and a little bit of sour, and maybe a little bit of, a little earthy. Some of them are a little more fruity. People describe it as a little fruitier tasting. Perhaps the most famous example of this, the one probably most people think about when you think about this kind of fine appreciation, would be wine. Now, I'm not a wine drinker, so I cannot appreciate the fine details of wine. Right? To me, I just drink it. It tastes like alcohol. Okay? But I think you know from movies and TV shows, and maybe you know some people who really appreciate wine. They're not drinking, huge bottles of wine all the time. They'll drink one glass, and what do? They smell it first, right? Always smelling it. They even look at it in the glass. They notice the color and appreciate the color. They appreciate the way it moves in the glass. They appreciate all the smells, and when they smell it, they try to notice all of the little small detailed smells. Not just one big one, but all the little small fine details. And then, of course, the same with the taste. They don't just drink it really fast. They drink it very slowly. We say sip it, right? It's slowly drinking it. Again, trying to notice all of the little small detailed tastes. And in good wine, I'm told, there may be lots of little small detailed tastes. And the more mindful you are, and the more you really appreciate and focus on and the tastes and the subtleties and the fine details, the more you will notice more and more and more and more and more of these details. And because of that, you'll begin to appreciate those wines. You'll begin to enjoy them in a much deeper way. Some people you can do this with tea. You can do this with food, just the normal food that you eat every day. Again, nothing special. You don't have to go to a Michelin restaurant for this. Just something you cook at home. And I'm guilty of I'm a fast eater usually, but it makes a big difference if you slow down and eat. And again, try to notice those finer, smaller details of smell and taste, even how it feels in your mouth. Right? Again, when you notice this, you begin to, I think the reason it's powerful in a positive way is you start to feel abundance, more appreciation. Because as you notice the smaller and smaller and smaller details in simple things, you begin to realize there's so much more there, that you have so much more than you realized. Before you just think, just a black cup of coffee, drink it fast. But then as you drink it more carefully, you notice, and more, you realize, oh no, I have something very special here. And then maybe you will start to try lots of different kinds of coffees. And you can find some very nice quality coffees that are not so expensive. And then you realize, oh wow, I have this, there's so much abundance, right? There's so much in my life already in these simple things. It's just I didn't notice before. I ignored all of these beautiful little details. I was too much in a hurry, too focused on the big gross stuff that I missed the finer things, the smaller things, the detailed things. You can do this with clothes. Instead of just going and buying some big expensive thing, you could shop around and look at very old used clothes. And again, instead of just noticing the big details like colors or something, you can start to notice all the little details of how something is made. And you can find those artisanal, remember that word, right? Artisanal, that's kind of art plus practical. Those artisanal items, you can often find these simple yet beautiful things with great fine details. You can find them at second-hand shops, right, where they sell used things. And if you're patient, you can often find amazing things that are very, very, very cheap. But the greatest example of this are things which are the cheapest of all and are actually the best. The things that are free. Nature. And this is why it's on my mind, because I just got back from hiking. And I noticed, the first day of hiking in the mountains, my brain is still moving very fast, from being in the city. And of course, I was noticing the big, large things. Big mountain. Lots of trees. That was nice and pretty. But then the second day and then the third day, I started to slow down more. And I began to just slow down and be more mindful, right? More aware of the smaller things, all the different colors of the leaves, the way the leaves would move in the wind, this very subtle, right? Not loud, but subtle, quieter sounds of nature, of the birds, of the wind, of the water. Even just the dirt and the rocks on the trails. And the more I began to notice all these little subtle details, these fine details, the more I appreciated them and the happier I became. And I'm beginning to feel like, all this great, this is so wonderful, all this abundance, all this amazing beauty around me, it's all free. The only cost is mindfulness, right? Is my mind, my attention. Because you can't ignore all of it. It's very easy to ignore these things because they are fine, because they're small and detailed. It's easy to ignore them if your brain is distracted or too busy. Even back here in the city, I like being outdoors. I'm just an outdoor type person. So I've been in the evenings now just going outside. We have a little balcony. We're right in the middle of the city, but I just go out on the balcony and I'll just stand out there and I'll just try to slow down, and the same thing, appreciate the fine things, notice the details. I'll just notice, I can see the train station from our apartment. I'll just, kind of watch, notice the details, notice the rhythm of the trains coming and going, the people walking to the station, leaving the station, others will riding their bike, going by our apartment building, all the lights of the buildings, the clouds overhead, the moon, the finer things, the smaller, subtler, detailed things. And again, I start to feel more appreciation then. Nothing changed. They were always there. I just needed to notice. Enjoy the finer things in life. And of course, most importantly, would be the people. Not just, of course, noticing the people, but noticing the small things about them, how they talk, how they smile. I just mentioned a baby. Baby John came and visited us today. And just the way she would laugh and play and talk, her voice, all these little small things that are just so wonderful. You just gotta slow down and notice them. Even when I'm out walking around, if I go through a park and I'll notice, their kids are always doing these little things that are just they make little funny faces. Their voices, they're entertaining. And it's just it's always the small little details you just have to notice. So that to me is the better meaning of this idiom. Enjoy the finer things in life. And indeed, I think that is the great advice. If we look at it from the more common meaning, which means, enjoy the more expensive things, no, not really. But I don't think it's necessary. I think we have so much abundance in our world now, in our societies, that really enjoying the finer things in life, even just the physical things that you buy. You can have such high quality, such wonderful things. Food, clothing, anything that you like. You can have very high quality without spending a huge amount of money, without spending lots and lots of money. Mostly instead, what you need to do is just change your mindset and to notice and appreciate. Notice and appreciate the fine, smaller things. And then, of course, you do the same thing with all the little activities and things you do. And most importantly of all, with all that's around you. Nature, even in a city, cities have a kind of a nice energy and beauty of their own also. And then finally, of course, the people. And when we look at that idiom with this meaning instead, you can see that actually appreciating the finer things in life, it really means living a more simple life. Not trying to be rich, super rich and complicated and having a huge number of things, but rather to live a simpler life and appreciate all those simple, beautiful things. And maybe even the things you buy, maybe instead of buying, 10 pairs of shoes that are not great, you find one or two really just, beautiful, high quality, maybe a little more expensive, but if you're smart, you can find something that's not super expensive, but something that's more artisanal, right? Made by an artisan, an artist who's practical. You might have fewer things, but they're more beautiful, they're more special. There's something in the details, the subtlety. So this is true for just buying things. It's the material world, and it's also true socially. And of course, at the deepest level, it's something mental, emotional, and spiritual. Enjoy the finer things in life. It becomes actually quite good advice when we think of it that way. Okay, well, it's good to be back on the show, back on the podcast. I'm back again. We will start our new book. Let me think. Probably not this weekend because I need to actually get the book and read it again. So let's say next weekend, not this coming weekend, but the next one, the following one, we will start The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Get the book. This is, again, it was a huge bestseller. Still is, I think. The good thing about that, number one, it means you can get it probably in your language. It has been translated into many languages. I know some of you like to read the book first in your own language, which is not a bad idea. It's a good idea. Read it in your language first so you get the general meaning, you understand it all. And then get the English version and it's easier to understand. You already know what each chapter is about. You already know the main big ideas. And then you can just focus more on the English. And of course, during our book club shows, I will explain the main ideas and using a bit simpler English. And I'll explain some of the vocabulary also. It's a good book, very, very practical book. I kind of like this, what we're doing now. A few things we've done. We've been doing fiction and nonfiction both. So we'll do a fiction book, then we do nonfiction. Fiction, then nonfiction. We might continue to do that for a while. I kind of like that. And the other thing is we kind of have been alternating. We've been doing kind of philosophical books, more philosophical, and then practical, right? So The Alchemist was very philosophical or spiritual in this case. Animal Farm was very philosophical, more political for Animal Farm. But then Rich Dad, Poor Dad, very, very, very practical, right? Making money and being financially independent. So super practical, not a lot of philosophy and, deep meaning to that one. Just very practical how to get what you need in life financially, which is also useful. We need that. We need both. Since our last book was very spiritual and philosophical, The Alchemist, now this one, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it's another very, very practical book. Super practical. Not a lot of deep philosophy, just practical, what works. So I like that because I'm a practical person too. I'm a practical philosopher, I guess. All right. Well, I will see you again for the next show. As always, go to effortlessenglishclub.com, join my VIP program and commit to that. Current VIP members, remember, we're making a few changes in the next several days, maybe even the next week or so. Just a few more days getting this change. But after the change is done, a really simple, very clear and simple system for you. If you're not a VIP member already and you want to speak English powerfully, speak fluently, think in English, train English with me, join my VIP program. Go to effortlessenglishclub.com, effortlessenglishclub.com. Go now to effortlessenglishclub.com.